Welcome, everybody. This is the non-dual astrology transmission for October 2023. I want to apologize to all my viewers who maybe missed out in September. Please forgive me. I was on silent retreat, and then we've been doing a lot of things with Khentrul Rinpoche, who's a Kala Chakra master, who's really at the forefront of helping us to understand that this coming into a golden age, which is one of the reasons why this channel is here. So I do promise quite a lot in this one. And what I would say is please do come back and keep listening to this. There are a lot of codes, very deep insights that I've had the spaciousness to look at from my own process over the last month or two of being in silence. And also for those of you in female bodies, having very, very interesting things going on with my womb. And I know that many of you have also said that there's been a lot going on. And if you request, I'll make a special transmission about this because I don't want to start talking about that here. But just to say, I kind of really have made sense of this and had a very deep tantric initiation with some of what is going on. And I'm really excited about what's coming on in October, even if it's not always pleasant. For those of you who are new to the channel, and please do like and subscribe, here's just a little bit of snapshot about what non-dual astrology is about. I'm going to let you read that as I talk, because I know that many people have a short attention span these days. And yeah, there is a longer video on non-dual astrology on the channel, which will help you to really understand what we're talking about. So yeah, while we're reading that, I just really want to give gratitude to the rishis, the celestial bodies, to my teachers in astrology, to Jose Arguelles, to Mark Elmy, and to Ernst Wilhelm, and to many more amazing astrologers. And I'm just really grateful to be able to bring this modality to you, because the more and more I look at these charts and dance with time, the more I see the perfection in things, it really helps me to make sense of my own processes and those of people around me. Just quickly, while we're on this, I have something very exciting to say, in that Khentrul Rinpoche has given me the green light to run Shambhala warrior training from February. So over the following months, we're going to be explaining more about the Shambhala prophecies, about this time that many of you know you've come here to be part of seeing in a new age. And I'm very, very excited to be working behind the scenes on the timelines for that as they come through the systems, on a book and on a training. Please do get in touch so that you can find out more about our free and donation-based preparatory activities, so that you can really see, oh, does this align with what I think I've signed up for? So I'm super excited about that. I'm also offering a new series of firstly pilot and then not, deep astrological multidimensional soul surgery and multidimensional coaching for people who are in a process of awakening and are bridging into the corporate, or feeling that, you know, they're an entrepreneur and need to somehow work with the changing energies. Okay, so please do get in touch if any of that interests you. Now on to the main part of this session. Okay, so I'm not going to go so into the retrograde energies. I've been talking about them for a while. We've had a lot of mega retrograde energy. We're just coming out of the main bulk of it, but I don't talk so much about the outer planets because you'll find that online. It's not my speciality at the moment, and I've got so much more stuff to be talking about. But needless to say that some of the outer planets are also still retrograde. In terms of Vedic astrology, we don't include those necessarily, but Jupiter and Saturn are both still retrograde. And I think the biggie of this month, apart from some Vedic insights that I want to give, and of course some of the Mayan insights I want to give, is that we have eclipse season starting again. So we're in a shadow of the eclipse already. And with this retrograde energy, I know a lot of people are really finding that pioneering energy is not upon them right now. And some people will have experienced stagnation and stasis in the last few months. One of the mechanisms of that is to help us to retrospect, to get ready to line ourselves up. And I certainly know that within our work with Dharma Stars, we've just spent some time tweaking course material and things like that. And that's actually very pleasing. And it's actually all that we can cope with half the time because we're not feeling pioneering. I am personally starting to feel the pioneering energy kick back in. And I'm going to be talking about that in a minute if you have been feeling stuck. Okay. But I'm feeling that something really mega is afoot on these eclipses. And I do want to borrow from some things that Pam Gregory and other Western astrologers said in the last batch of eclipses, is that the harsh and outmoded aspects of the patriarchy, which lead to a lot of suffering in the mundane world that we live in, are coming to some sort of dismantling or energetic shift. And what I really see in this set of eclipses is definitely something deeper coming into that theme, and that really for me makes sense of some of the stasis, and for those who have experienced very deep purging and clearing and processes in the last months, I think brings the eureka moments to this. And that's what I'm going to be looking at later. What I can say is it's absolutely amazing when we look at the celestial bodies, and then we look at even how the Dreamspell and the Mayan calendars nod to what's going on. And for me, that really signifies something so, so important for us to look at in terms of our collective awakening. So I'm very excited to share that with you. If I was to consolidate that, I would say I feel it's like a big rewiring of past life karma inequality. I know that so many of us go to workshops about, things like gender imbalance, not having our voice, or things like that. And what I feel has been taking place has been because of energies that I spoke of in my previous transmissions in the last few months. We've had this dance over particularly Ashlesha. Venus has particularly been there, retrograding and spending extra time than normal in Ashlesha. And Ashlesha for me is very much about a genetic clearing, rewiring, and some of it's ancestral. And when we look at the nakshatras, which are the higher celestial bodies in Vedic astrology, we've had quite a big dance that we've had moving in and out of Ashlesha and then into Maga, which is happening again very soon. And as you know, I was speaking more recently about the change of the year lords in the galactic Mayan system, and this portal that we've been in for ancestral healing, and then this blurred boundary as we change into another energy that's still about feminine receptivity. So I feel there's been a lot up about the yin part of us. And it feels like the stasis and this dance that Venus, who is often, some astrologers see Venus as more feminine, this in a very feminine sign in Cancer has really made something very, very deep go on. And I can't speak for people in male bodies, because the people who've been speaking to me are those in female bodies. Please do comment if you would like to share more from whatever sort of affiliation you feel in terms of your body type. It's been very, very poignant what's going on. And I feel it's not just a this life sort of thing. It's been a massive, massive soul level purge. And this is on a certain level for those who are ready for it, to help to get free from the shackles that stop us from being in our highest dharma, to get ready for the golden age. Okay. So what I see is that that's leading into a very interesting part of the journey during the eclipse season. And then, of course, if any of you study Celtic cosmologies, we've got Samhain, very important portal of life and death, which is seen in other cultures as Halloween. That's coming at the end of October. So, and this is all deeply aligned with a whole new galactic spin in the Dreamspell calendar. So there's definitely a completion of cycles going on. And I'm really going to, as I say, really request, if you are somebody who is a little bit shamanic or multidimensional, I really would encourage you to keep coming back and listening to this if you've got a short attention span, because there are ceremonial recommendations that come from the divination, from studying these systems and the processes we're in. And in terms of your ancestors, in terms of the journey we're on collectively, and in terms of your own soul's evolution, I would really say that there's a portal that you need to really take advantage of to maximize the realignment and the reconnection. Okay, so we'll be talking about that as we progress. So we're first going to talk about the galactic Mayan system, the Dreamspell calendar. And right now, as I'm recording this, we're in the Eagle wave spell. Eagle is very much about what is our planetary service. It's not a selfish nawal. It's basically a gateway, an intermediary between heaven and earth. And as such, Eagle is one step ahead, or one wingspan ahead, because as it can see from a higher vantage point, it can often see what's coming up. It can tell, oh my goodness, no, that's not going to work, because I can see that that's really affecting these people over there. And as such, it's also a sign of abundance, because by knowing how to dance with time, it can line itself up the right way and help its communities to do that. And this is where I feel we're at right now. It's like this bigger picture of the retrograding energy. As some of the planets start to go more direct, and did start to go direct recently, we're starting to get a little bit more spaciousness in our perspective again. And I feel that this is here to help us to refine our dharma after what can feel like stagnation, but is actually gestation in many ways. So from the 8th, we're coming into the star wave spell. And the star is very much, it's beautiful. It's maybe about elegant flow. Star's not going to push or race with things. And actually some star people will have to deal with their timelines. But really it's also about understanding our starseed consciousness and the mission that we've come here to do, a mission. And so Eagle is very much, about what is my dharma. And on a multidimensional level, we could call it a bodhisattva or a starseed. The starseeds remembering that they have this multidimensional essence that is here. And I think that when we're often in process, that will manifest a lot in the physical form. And that for many people, that's they've been feeling almost constrained on a physical level. And sometimes it's almost like new codes and new awarenesses are gestating within us. As you know, we had the Guru Chandal Yoga very strongly earlier in this year with the Jupiter-Rahu conjunction. We're still under that influence. And I feel like there's a little bit of space coming, but it's not complete, because we're right in the middle of star wave spell as eclipse season kicks in for real. And I'm going to talk about that, but it's almost like the readjustments are going to become a little bit clear. It's almost like, how do we make our own home, our own habitats better for who we are as a changing person? I see star people is usually very good at making their home very nice. And so what is your ecosystem? How do you feel comfortable there? And isn't that interesting? Because in the global north, people are starting to roost for the winter, okay? So it's these minor adjustments to embellish and beautify in that which is there. And that's what's interesting, is that Venus is shifting. Venus is being freed up a little bit from more of being there to bring us into deep process, and now it's bringing us a little bit more into how do I make things nicer. And so yeah, there's a lot of correlation there with what Venus is doing in the sky. Okay, and then we go into a very big time, because on the 21st of October, we're going into what's called a new galactic spin. So in the Dreamspell calendar, Dragon wave spell is the first of the wave spells. So that we go into that every 260 days. So it's almost like a 9-month gestation. It's not exactly the same, but it's like a gestation. And often if you look at what you were doing 8.5 months ago or 260 days ago, you can usually see a progression route. There's an uncanniness to the upgrades that we've taken, that have happened. And this is why, as well as having this retrograde energy in tropical and and Vedic astrology, we are also here, you know, with this retrospect, this completion of a 260-day cycle that we're right in. Star completes the 260-day cycle. So it's like the embellishments of the last process, okay, and these finishing touches on that 360-day gestation. So we're now coming in, and dragon is a feminine energy. It's quite linked to primordial energy. It's quite dreamy. The primordial is not a conceptual realm, and we have to go into those womb-like voids and spaces to bring forth that which will derive meaning and concept and form at a later point. And for me, this feels very much like a collective resurfacing of feminine energies, having had a big collective healing. And when I say feminine, I mean the yin. I mean that which we all have. And I guess how I would like to say it for the purpose of this transmission is also that which is not the outmoded patriarchal energy. And I guess if sometimes people ask me what is patriarchal, and that will mean different things to different people. But I would say old colonial constructs where territorialism that creates suffering, and overstepping the mark and wanting more than what is one's own thing, is part of the outmodedness of patriarchal. There's nothing wrong with patriarchy in its more benevolent form, but just due to the collective karma on the planet, that some of that has been a little bit wonky. And we're all due a big cleaning of that. And this is why a lot of people are kicking back against financial systems and different institutions, because some of those are archaic now for the changing energies. So we have natural disruption coming through the celestial bodies. And that's why sometimes I don't necessarily advocate having to be someone who's always at war with something, because actually we are within our own vessels and within our own multidimensional beings going through this evolution, and it's just being stripped away. Okay. And this is how we will see this when we look here at the traditional Mayan calendar, the sacred calendar, the Chokyu. So what's very, very interesting here is that from the beginning of October, we come into Akhmak, and Akhmak is the yellow sign here. And Akhmak is all about redemption and forgiveness. Akhmak energy, by some astrologers of the Mayan system, they would say it's a very unfortunate sign. I see it as something different. We are here in this massive time of being able to collectively clear, and Akhmak people have a sensitivity to the collective yuckiness that is in place at any given time as we move through particular collective karmas. And Akhmak people sometimes have a default to be clearing that. So some people might be like, oh, look at them, they're always being pummeled by this energy. But if you look at it from a kind of Buddhist perspective, they can be having very strong bodhicitta, and they are utilizing their own vessel and experience to help to transmute and transfigure for the collective. So on a collective level, for 13 days, we have Akhmak energy. And this is all about beginning to forgive, fresh starts. So where I have seen that there has been this slowing down, this halting for many people, there has been a deep, deep, deep purge. And I would say this is this lining up. You know, the solar eclipse is on the 14th. The first 13 days before the eclipse of October, we are in this state of forgiveness. And this is where it's really good to forgive yourself, forgive others, forgive the patriarchy, to understand whatever purge you're in is, you know, you're forgiving yourself. Ultimately, anything that's coming through is really the part that we've played in a past life, if you believe in past lives, coming for us. And so you have this real opportunity. If you are suffering, maybe you switch it back and think about, firstly, think about the people who are suffering more than you, and think about how you can use your process wisely to from your place, probably of privilege, to really have and develop this beautiful concentration on a better time and how to forgive that which you have done and that which continues. And the more we clear that, the more we can actually step into something very, very beautiful. So it does mean that some people will have very profound processes during Akhmak. And if you can really understand that any process is the manifestation of karma, and seek the resolution to wish for that to be shifted through your own changing of habits, through your own change of belief that you're just this passive recipient of being pummeled by the universe, but actually there's agency in resolve and agency in letting it move through you. This is a very, very powerful time. Akhmak's counterpart in the Dreamspell calendar is actually a conduit for cosmic consciousness. And so the more we use our physical vessel as a portal for the density of our own past lives and our own past karmas to move through, the more we actually assist the collective shift. So please use this time wisely. And like clockwork, it is not complete at that. On the 14th, which is when we have the solar eclipse, we come into Toch Tersena. And Toch is all about giving offerings. It's connected to the earth. In tribal societies, especially many of the societies I've worked with, giving land offerings, always giving back is a vital function of the preservation of tribal society. And everything is about the balance with our ecosystem and the balance with the mother. And in the Western world, we've forgotten about this. And this is often why we feel disconnected. We are out of touch. We aren't successful because our timelines are all wrong. We're too busy being yang. The first step to actually coming into a more successful, harmonious way of being is to start to give back. So we're at a vital, vital point of reclamation of the balance with the mother, the balance with the feminine, right on the solar eclipse day, right? It's huge. So I really, really suggest that as you're in your journey of redemption and forgiveness, if you do a synchronicity walk, or if something comes to mind, please collect little items that you can make a ceremonial offering or series of offerings to the earth or to the waters with, or to whatever, or even to a loved one, to somebody who you wronged. This is a beautiful, beautiful time to collect and give. Sometimes people give tobacco when they need to say something to another person and they want to speak it from the heart and truth, okay? So this is a very, very important time. And we're going to see a little bit more when we move on, because it doesn't stop just at that. So please, I really do suggest that if you ever have done earth-keeping work or you'd like to know more, please message us and we'll maybe make like a collective ceremony. This is a really, really good time, because what's happened is the colonial construct of going in, not asking permission and taking, that has really dismantled our connection to the earth energies. And as I say, if you really want to be successful in this incarnation, and if you want to have good mental health, if you want to feel vibrant, if you want to be in the right place at the right time, reconnection is really key. And, you know, we have this whole resurgence of things like eco-psychology and rewilding and permaculture, where people are realizing they need to pay attention to the natural cycles. They need to go and visit sacred sites. They feel better when they go into nature. So this is like a crucial time of overcoming. The more and more of us who do ceremony around those days, symbolically, to say, I choose to go back. I choose not to take what is not mine. When you come into right relation, this is also going to help to curb what in Buddhism is called like stinginess or self-cherishing, which is not about generosity or true spirituality. And you're very welcome to also, we've got a little satsang that we did, which shares the abundance codes. Most people, especially a lot of people who think they're spiritual at the moment, are actually stuck in materialism, not spiritualism. The spirituality is really about us understanding that we are more than a human vessel and money, okay? So a really good way to start to say, do you know what, I'd really like to try to come in right relation. This is your key. This is the moment, okay? Because we've got so much going on with this new gestation also beginning, also eclipse season, also all of these things all happening at the same time. And then on the 27th of October and into early November, we are in Ik So this is like the wind, the voice, the breath. And I really feel that what is being worked on for many people is this collective legacy of being silenced. Now, this can manifest through traumatized cultures, indigenous cultures, as racial trauma, as gendered trauma, is this as the witch wound, all of these things. This is all manifesting into this new reacquired speech, okay? And yeah, it's going to be very exciting because it's also, I feel that as many people, the womb and the throat are connected. And as many people have in female bodies have been experiencing massive womb clearings, this is also clearing the way for us to speak up again, okay? And I know that this is something a lot of people have been working on, but there's been a very distinct portal that has been basically just getting its mileage out of our multidimensional self and not just what happened this life. And that's why for many people it's been like a prolonged purge. So we're now going to look at the Vedic astrology. And as I've said, a lot of people have felt this kind of stasis, this lethargy, this inability to be pioneering. And not only will that have been attributed to the retrograde energy, which is really helping us to orient ourselves into the right space, but we have had, and I want to give gratitude to Swati Singh, who's Vedic life coach, for just her beautiful discussion on October energies and looking at this kind of wonky energy of not being able to move, at how Venus has been sitting, particularly well in Cancer and in Ashlesha, which I spoke of earlier, and these Gandanta points. And a Gandanta point is where a planet moves from a water sign into fire sign, and you have this kind of wonky, steamy bit in the middle. And because Ashlesha has got very deep purgative ancestral energy to it, it's seen as the most painful of the Gandanta points. And we're going to go back into that, I would say, 30th of September, 1st of October. And then on the 2nd, we come into Leo. And I think it's all around those days. I don't have the exact dates, but by the 2nd, we're coming into Magha Nakshatra. Magha's still connected to the ancestors, but what I've been really meditating upon is that Magha's kind of regal energy, and Magha has to use its power wisely, and it has to be a good subject to its citizens, not just, hi, I'm regal, so I've got power issues. But what I feel is that in this healing journey we're in, we often have to look at the afflicted ancestors and our afflicted karma, and that which has created some of the blocks and the samskaras in our life. And we have to do that work. And that's why we've had this really deep work, as we've had this prolonged time on that. But now as we come into Magha, we also all have ancestors who were kings and things like that. Now, it's really important. You need to also, as we're doing this review over the patriarchy, power, the karmic, the karma is maybe about looking at, did you use power wisely in a past life? Have you got ancestors who use power wisely or not? But also to know that you have got power somewhere in your being, and to start to resource with that as you find your way, but also to really know that it has to be dedicated to the collective and the group process, and being altruistic in order to get the right energies. So I feel that the ancestral focus is shifting. And with that, this stasis is leaving. And also, we've had Venus and Mars very close together, but there's a little bit of space between them. And on the 3rd of October, so we've already got Venus moving out of being super watery. Mars is going into Libra, and it's going to be sitting there during the time, I believe, of the eclipse. But I do feel that Mars is starting to say, right, it's back to work. And it's back to work in our interactions. It's back to work at looking at maybe the outer world and the interpersonal and things like that, where maybe that has been a little bit slow for a while. So it feels like a little divine spark window. And then, as I've mentioned, we have this final eclipse series. I'd say final eclipse series because in Vedic astrology, this is our last set of eclipses on the Aries Libra axis. And with that, we are looking really at the pioneer versus the sustainer in the community. Okay. So we've been trying to find our sweet spot of that. It's also about the I or the we. And so we've been in a lot of sort of soul searching and cultivation around, the ego, the self, and then who am I? Who do I show up as in relationships? And depending on the placement of your planets, which I'm happy to help you look at, we are, that focus will be different for different people. But I feel that's coming to an end. And then we're going to go into a new set of karmic situations with the planet, with the karmic nodes, as we complete this. So there is a lot there about, if we look and deconstruct as well, Aries energy has been quite pioneering energy. When Aries is too domineering, it's like the colonizer, it's like the outmoded patriarchy. And when Libra is too Librarian, it's too passive, too empathic, okay? And so these are, in many ways, this outmoded patriarchy, this violation of territory and boundaries does sit very, in many ways, at Aries Libra, because it's the relationship between self and other. And how do we violate boundaries with each other every day? Where do those archetypes of colonizer or victim play out? And how can we fine tune that? So that's really interesting that that's up. And let me just look at my notes here. The solar eclipse is really interesting. And it's how I see it. There is a stellium happening. My notes are really wonky scribbles. Oh yeah, I see there's a combustion happening where Mercury, Moon, and Mars get combusted in the chart as we are on the eclipse. So they're sitting there with Rahu. So Moon is being burnt by Sun, okay? So the feminine, so it's almost like this thing of the masculine burning the feminine. And it's also combusting our Mercury, our Mars, our ability to do stuff, our ability to even fight back, our ability to speak up. And it's really interesting because, yes, it's illuminating that wound. It's almost like it's that stark light of seeing that and how it manifests in you. And that could be either way around, But it's almost like that suppression and subordination that has been taking place is fully lit up and put into its pressure cooker on the 14th. And, we're looking, and that's the day also that this importance of giving back, doing ceremony. Talk has this connection to water and the moon as well. It's reclaiming our moon, reclaiming the energies of the lunar, the feminine, the yin. Okay. So it's almost like the symbolic diminishing of the feminine takes place on that day to remind us what we're healing about. Okay. And in terms of how the planets are being affected. And then straight after that, we get Saturn going retrograde into Dhanishta. We've got this for about a month. And this is a really great window for starting to unveil things that you've been working on behind the scenes. Dhanishta is the star of symphony. So you can see there's drums and flute in the bottom right corner. It's all about getting the timing right. And it can lead to great success and fame. But if somebody's rushing it with something, it's going to be a cacophony and really shit. But if somebody has been working behind the scenes diligently, they've piloted it with some work, they've been treading the path in a manageable way, this is a really good time to bring out that symphony, because it won't sound like the wonky school orchestra. It's going to sound like this exquisite telepathic arrangement of many different things all brought together. So if you have been sitting on something and you felt a little bit suppressed, you may feel an activation from as early as the 15th, where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to go live on something. And this has been one of the functions of the Guru Chandal Yoga. Did you peak too early? and start to bring up out something that wasn't ready? Did you have to go back and fix some things? Or have you been working really diligently behind the scenes and not being egoic and being slow and steady? Well, this may be a time. Do not go if you don't feel ready. There are other windows coming up, but this is a window for some great, great things that will bring you the right amount of success and notoriety and things like that for your offering. Okay, so this can be a good window. And it may actually, for some, just be the final really good retrograde to find your timeline. So you may actually find the Saturn retrograde helps you to see how you're going to get that launch and that pilot done. It may bring you into really deep pilot phase. Okay, so it'll be different depending on how long you've been working on the thing and where the planets are placed for you. Okay, and then we go to the 28th. And there is another big day I'm going to be speaking of later. Now, what's interesting is the 27th is where we come into this voicing, this wind. So it's almost like this new freedom of speech comes up. And on the 28th, it's what really interesting because the moon has now traveled over to Aries. And it's going to be in Aries on that day. And it's also the destiny point for the collective. So it's where we're supposed to be that day as a collective is in Aries. So we got a lot of Aries energy on that particular eclipse day. So the feminine has gone over to the divine spark. The feminine has gone over to the pioneer. She's almost like freed up. She's able to be there on that eclipse day. It is slightly different energy. Okay. It's not all a done deal. It doesn't mean we're all healed and everything's ready. We still have Ketu sitting with the sun, and Mars and Mercury are still combust. So Mars and Mercury are sitting together in a Venus sign. So that's a little bit awkward for Mars, and Mars and Mercury a little bit awkward together. Mars and Ketu will be interesting. It's not quite done deal. There's still obscurations and healing to be done. But what I would say is that the feminine principle has come over for her new beginning. Okay. And this is so much lined up with this dragon energy, this primordial womb energy. And this is the feminine for everybody. And this is really also marking this energy of this year that we're in, which is the white overtone wizard, which is about working at our feminine receptivity, all of us. Yeah. So this feels very, very exciting. You know, speech and things could still be awkward, but there's a new terrain coming, and I think it's very, very exciting. Okay, so just the synthesis to finalize is that, yes, we're in this really deep state of multidimensional remembrance. We're going from this afflicted ancestral energy and from, witch wounds, blood we spilled, but seeking redemption for that, seeking redemption for whatever role we or our ancestors played in things in the past, and having this really poignant portal into that. And then we're becoming more in tune with the fact that we have the possibility to be that regal person and to tap into benevolent rulership that we can be. And this is why I've got these photos all of like giving, because it's about how we, coming back to Maiga energy, the good king is always giving to the subjects. And so this whole thing of offerings, giving back, being generous. I mean, I've been talking about that a lot in different ways this year. It's because it's such an important code for enlightenment. But this, because it's so up, give back to the Earth Mother is going to be really important. So by giving to the Earth Mother, by giving to others, by honoring the yin and not taking before you give, there's a really big karmic portal, or how would I say, cosmic mechanism that you can, there's a test there. Do you choose to take it? Can you be generous and giving? Okay. And yeah, right slap bang in the middle of the eclipses is the 21st. It's a really big day because that is the day of Eight Achmak. So what we're in is Eight Achmak is in Toch. So Toch is the one that's about giving the offerings. And number 8 is the ceremony for redemption. So right in between this almost subordinated feminine energy and then the freed up feminine energy is right slap in the middle, is the day of redemption. And on an 8th day in the Mayan lands, this is the day we do ceremony. Okay. So this is the really beautiful day to culminate if you've been collecting things to give. To do ceremony on the 21st in between the eclipses is almost like seeking the balance of your own masculine and feminine, your own yin yang. And as you do that within your own energetic being, you help to create peace. Yeah. So it's a very, very beautiful day. And it's right on the day that the new galactic spin begins. It's like we have a possibility on this planet to come into this deeper, deeper balance, to harmonize. The more of us who do this, the more it can ripple through the collective. And it's almost like if we choose to do that, that which has been repressed within us, because actually our power relations were not balanced, comes through then as balanced speech. We come through as these beings who are not suppressed or repressed because we don't have these karmic imbalances that play out that we think are something else, somebody else's fault, but we actually just can show up. And that, of course, means that we can show up in our relationships and for ourselves. And that is like the final takeaway in many ways of this Aries Libra dialectic that has been taking place over that series of eclipses, especially for like 1.5 years. So yeah, on the 28th, we really do meet this new pioneering energy. The destiny point is in Aries. Yes, we have still some teething problems with communications, but we're really on our way. So I hope you like this. I hope you can tune in to do some ceremony. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to give this transmission. I give gratitude to the rishis, the celestial bodies, to Ganesha, the patron deity of Jyotish, the science of light, and to all the wisdom keepers who help to sustain these systems. Gracias, gracias, gracias.